Good afternoon. You are welcome to another session today in another class as we continue with the course on agricultural extension, AC 301. We continue where we stopped last week or the other time. Today, we won't spend much time, but we look at the principles and the philosophy of extension education, and then we look at the extension process. Well, like I told you at the beginning of this course, you are going to have one announced test, one unannounced test, and one assignment. But I'm sure many of you will be happy now that because of COVID-19 and all this online, but I'll get across to you shortly. Okay, now let's talk about principles and philosophy of extension. When we are talking about philosophy, especially philosophy of agricultural extension, what we are just trying to talk about is that we are looking at a guiding path for our actions. What leads to our actions? What prompts our actions? What are those things that make us to do what we need to do? There are some people, they say that man, he will never compromise. They know him, that is his philosophy. He will not compromise to do evil. He will not compromise anything contrary, negative. He's known to be straightforward. No, it's known that the man believes things must be done right. That is the philosophy of his life. That is what guides him in whatever action that he takes in his life. So when we are talking about philosophy, we are talking about what guides your action. We are talking about the guiding path for your action. We are talking about what guides your decision, what makes you to do what you are doing. So, and that is why it is what guides your action is operated based on principle. Your principle is the template which you act, and that is what we are saying. And that is why we say that in agricultural extension, the basic philosophy of agricultural extension that we always talk about is to ensure that the clientele, it may be farmers, it may be processor, it may be marketers, agricultural value chain actor, any of the actors along the value chain, because the extension, like we said in the last class, deal with all the value chain actors now. So, and we are not dealing, we are not, in those days they will say farmers. Our clients these days, the clientele we deal with, even the marketers, agricultural marketers, we deal with them. Agricultural processors, we deal with them. That is why when we are talking about the function of agricultural extension. So our clientele is the person you are dealing with, like we have said earlier, like a medical doctor will say my patient, a lawyer will say my client. So in our own case, we call them clientele, like you know. So what we do, our philosophy, the basic philosophy of extension is to ensure that whatever these people what they are doing will be sustainable. We'll be able to guide them forever. It's like our own is not give me fish to eat today. Our own is teach them how to fish so that they can feed themselves for life. That is the principle, that is the philosophy that guides us. And that is why we always say that in agricultural extension, what helps us is to help farmers to help themselves. And that means help farmers to identify their problems. When they identify their problems, work with them together, all of us working together, so that we find solution to it, and they now know what to do all the time. So we teach them to identify their problems, we teach them to find solution to their problems together, and we teach them to implement and take actions that will solve their problems and help them in whatever capacity they are involved in throughout the days of their life, so that they can be better off. That is what we are talking about. And that's why we always say helping people, helping clientele. We are dealing with farmers, helping the farmers to help themselves. We are dealing with animal farmer, and farmers in the livestock production, helping the livestock farmer to help themselves. And somebody is in crop, helping the crop farmer to help himself. Fisheries, helping the person in that aspect to help themselves for life. So we are saying the basic philosophy of agricultural extension is helping people to help themselves, helping them to identify their problems, helping them to find solutions to their problems, helping them to implement the solution to their problem. That is the philosophy of agricultural extension. So what are the principles that we follow then that helps us in this philosophy? The first principle that we always talk about it, start where the people are now. Start where the people are now. And what are we saying? Somebody who cannot afford 1,000 naira, you are asking to go and hire a tractor to clear his land. No. The level where he is, the amount he has, the size of his farm, help him at that level to see that he's making the best of it. And from there, he will continue to grow. You are not saying that you should start with 10,000 of broilers or whatever. No. If he has only 20 or 50, at that level, teach him what to do. Problem that come, and then from there it grows. So that is why we are always saying that we start at the level where they are. We start the activities from where they are now, and you improve it. So that is why the first principle that guides us is to start where the people are. So that from there they grow. Oh, this is what I'm doing now. This is the problem. We solve it together. We expand. There are problems. We solve it together. We keep expanding. That is the first principle. Then, the second principle of agricultural extension that we always talk about is also helping people to help themselves to determine their own problems. You cannot determine the problem of somebody for him better than himself. The only thing you can do is to open his eyes so that he can, oh, this is it. But not that. That is why in extension, we talked about it. We are not using the top-down approach. We are using the bottom-up approach. And that is what is now extended to most projects now, especially with development partners. The CDD, the community-driven development approach. The people themselves determine what they want and where they are. So we always help them to determine their own problems. Our own is to educate so that you yourself will find out the problem you are having, even in your enterprise, even in your farm, and then we can now move on. But not that if somebody will just say, oh, this is it, impose, or no, you can't do that. It may not really work. It is somebody who has a day that knows the extent of the headache he has. So that is what we are trying to say. So the extension personnel is not out to solve the problem for the clientele like that. It's how to help him determine the problem, identify the problem. They can now do it together. And then, with his own technical knowledge and the knowledge of the expert, like we have talked about, we are talking about the support system, the expert, the researcher, they come up with it. Even that is why you see some of the researchers will do some of the research on the farmers' farm themselves. So that as they are coming up with the research on the farmers' farm, they are able to see that we have the pilot studies or the pilot areas on the farmers' farm. So that they then, even if they are done something in the laboratory, in the greenhouse, we bring it to come and do the adaptation on the farmer's farm. So the farmer themselves will see it. Oh, this is how this thing is going. Oh, this is where all this pest. Oh, this is this one, this is how this pest come. But since we planted during we do the resistant variety of maize, oh, now this is this, and then they can see. So it's not that we solve the problem for them, but we help them to determine, identify, and determine the problem themselves. And then we can now together go ahead to solve it. So it's a bottom-up approach. It's involving, it's togetherness. And that is what we are saying. And the third principle that guide us, because we send them to help themselves. If you solve their problem for them and they don't know about it, you are not helping them to solve it, to help themselves. The third thing we do is principle of interest and need. If it is not the need of somebody, they may not be interested. And like we have said earlier, needs can be broken into two. You have the felt need, you have the unfelt need. For example, somebody who has not eaten for 3 days, you really say, what is wrong with you? But somebody who has been taking garri for 3 days, you may not really know. But it's only when he's sick or kwashiorkor or hunger of the problem. But that person, when something that is essential is absent, that you see it, you definitely know, you easily identify that it's a felt need. But the unfelt need is there, but it's not conspicuous. So What we always talk about in order to help farmers or the clientele to help themselves is that we look at the needs. When it is a felt need, then definitely the farmer or the processor, the marketer, the person along the value chain will be interested. So that is why we always talk about the principle of extension is principle of interest and need. You don't go ahead to start disseminating information on something that is not of need to somebody. Once it is not of need to him, it will not be of interest to him. I used to give an illustration. In Nigeria today, you see bus stops all over, and people, thank God it has even gone down. It's only a few to maybe Lagos and there are few places that they use the bus stops. The bus stop become places where madmen stay, or where a woman making roasting maize or whatever use. People are not using it. So it's not of need. People don't see it as a need. So if you build it, they are wasting and they are not interested. So, but it's essential, but people don't have that understanding. So that's why we talk about what they need. If it is absent, it is conspicuous and it's affecting their life, their standard of living, their life of poverty, and that's what we are talking about. And that is why it is our principle of interest and need. And that is why we carry them along. That's why we do it in such a way that they identify the problems themselves, so that we solve the problems that are germane to them. And that is why we talk about the third principle, the principle of interest and need. We work on what is their need that they will be interested in solving. And that is when it becomes important. And that is when you are helping them. And then the other one, which is the fourth principle, is the principle of mutual trust and respect. Respect is reciprocal. In extension, working with the clientele must be able to know if you say you are coming tomorrow, you must be there. You must respect him for the time he will be waiting for you. You must respect him for who he is. And you must be able to trust that if you say you are coming, oh yes, you will be there. But say, oh, he needs my help so I can see him and let him wait. Next time when you really need to get there and you want to keep the time, you tell him will not come when he says he will come. And that is one of the reasons why extension is not involved directly in input supply or directly in giving credit. Because anything can happen. Oh, in the past, I want to help them with fertilizer and you are disappointed. Maybe transportation or one problem and you didn't come. Or there was a disappointment somewhere else. When you are now talking, you say, what do you need? That man is not trustworthy. Which fertilizer is. Even if you have the technology to introduce a new idea, they won't listen to you. You have lost it. And at the same time, you must respect your clientele. Don't say because they are in need, don't say because their social status is low. No. You must respect them for who they are and what they are. And they too must respect you. That is why we talk about the principle of mutual trust and respect. Trust them, let them trust you. Respect them so that they can so that everybody will be able to work together. And that leads us to the fifth principle, where we talk about the principle of voluntary involvement. Voluntary involvement may also involve the use of contact farmers. But like I told us, when we are distinguishing between formal and informal form of education, when we are saying extension, it's informal. We say it is voluntary. You don't coerce people. That is why the principle that yes, it is voluntary. That means since it's optional, since it is out of its own volition, we must be able to promote the use of volunteer leaders. We must be able to promote the people among them who will also work. And then we must realize that we have to do things that is of their interest and things that they want to do and things that they are also involved. And then make them to be part and parcel of it. That's why we talk about contact farmers sometimes. We train the contact farmers in the fortnight training meeting, and then the contact farmers go and train them. That they train the trainers' method. And I actually found in one of the methods that have been used in the past, which is still being used in some places, and in the private sector, and even some government, yes, in some area. That's the farmer field school. We have the farmer field school, we have the farmer business school. And in that place, the facilitators, you train the facilitators who are part and parcel of the people, and they train the others. And everybody see themselves togetherness. That is the principle. And the sixth principle we are talking about is that in extension, you don't work with a specific group of people. No, you work with the whole family. You work with the father, you work with the mother, you work with the young ones, you even work with the children. Because these days there's concept of child labor. So you don't abandon them also, they must know some things. So we are talking about issue of extension working with the old members of the family, both the young and the older ones, and in different spheres, the rich, the poor, the male, the female. And that is what we are saying. We work with all of them because we don't even know. The husband may be a laggard. Somebody who wants to wait and see and may not want to adopt. But the wife may be somebody who has seen it work in some place. You may even be the person who will come and convince them that no, let us accept this thing, let us accept this idea. I've seen it work, I've seen it. She may be the one that will be used. It may also be the children, it may be the younger ones. But let the whole family, and then we have to realize that in extension we talk about people living in rural area and community of faith. What are FATE? What affects one affects the other. So if anything affects any one of them, it's going to affect the whole family. And so that is why we must also see it that we have to work with the whole family. When extension works with the whole family, we get results. Because we are saying helping the clientele to help themselves. And that is very, very important. And that is why we have different categories of people. We have different programs for different categories of people in the family. Program for the younger ones, program for the old ones. We have to use communication methods that will appeal to the older ones, that will appeal to the younger ones, so that then everybody is carried along. That's why we always say extension works with the whole family. And then, like we said, extension, when we are looking at informal issue and extension itself, we have said that extension is heterogeneous. I mean, works with people who are heterogeneous. And that means, like I said earlier, you have the old ones, you have the younger ones, you have the people who are exposed, you have people of higher social status, you have people of lower social status. So they are in different categories. That's why it's heterogeneous. Like in your class now, you are homogeneous. We know all of you, you are 300 level, you must have gone through 100 and 200 level. We know you must have gotten minimum of 5 credits at school side. So all of you will have an homogeneous factor. But in extension, somebody may have gone to school, somebody may not have gone to school. Somebody may be old, the other one may be young. So that is why in teaching methods, in order to disseminate information, in order to be able to communicate effectively, in order to make them to accept the idea that you are trying to portray to them, so that they too will see it, in order to solve the problem together, in order to improve their level of production, in order to improve their processing technique, in order to improve the marketing strategy, in order to improve their cultivation practices, in order to improve their production process in the poultry, in the fish farm, wherever they find themselves, even we are talking about in the forestry in terms of environmental conservation, we must be able to use teaching methods that will address various categories of people, that will not leave them. And that is why we always combine. We combine different media. Use the radio, you can use the television, you can use the cinema. These days we are talking about social media, you can use case studies. You have a lot of things that you combine that will interest them. And that is what we are saying, that we use the principle of heterogeneous method. That is, we are recognize heterogeneity of the people. So we adopt various teaching methods that will be able to address the need of different people. And then we have the principle of trained specialists. The principle of trained specialists in extension is trying to say that we use the expert. For example, extension has an idea, but it will not be an expert. When you talk about the disease in poultry, you need somebody who is a specialist in animal science. You talk about problem of pests, you need somebody who is an entomologist. You see some problem of diseases, you need somebody who may be a virologist. You need problem of storage, you may need somebody who is a specialist in storage and processing, harvest, storage and processing techniques. So we work with those specialists in order to be able to get results. And that is why we said support system the other time. So extension work with trained specialists, experts, people who have the knowledge, so that the information that will be disseminated will be information that will work. They will be things that will bring solution. They will think that people will have understanding, and then that they can find solution to the problem. And then we also do something, and that is talking about effective monitoring and periodic appraisal. Why do we monitor? We monitor because we need to gather information to see that there's no deviation. Things are being done the way it's supposed to be. So that if there's deviation, if it's not being done in the right way, we quickly correct. So that at the end there will not be loss. So that at the end we will not defeat the purpose of what we are talking about. Maybe the innovation, the technology that is being introduced, the processing method that will not be wastages, that will discourage people or whatsoever. So we monitor and we do periodic appraisal. We evaluate periodically to see the result, the outcome of what we are trying to do. So that we learn lesson and we plow back. That is part of what we are talking about. And then the 10th principle, which is very crucial. Like I told us, in extension, we are not involved in credit provision. We are not involved in supplying people anything. Our own is disseminate information, come up with new idea. We want to improve the knowledge of the people, change their attitude, and develop their skill. And that is why, in extension, our principle is based on the educational goal or function of extension, which is improve the knowledge of the people, change their attitude when their knowledge has been improved, and develop their skill. When you change the attitude, they are ready to accept new technology, and then they learn. They learn. That's why helping them to do things themselves, and they develop skill, which means they are going to continually work, and by that, they improve their lifestyle. So these are the basic 10 principles that we normally follow in extension. We have started with it, starting where the people are, the principle of interest and need, the principle of adopting various teaching methods that we have talked about because of heterogeneous nature, principle of working with the whole family, principle of using the trained specialists, because we have said it, we need experts to work with them. We have said we are not leaving our educational role, we are not into supply of input or agro service, no. We can link them and collaborate. So that at the end, the people themselves, and then people of voluntary nature, and because these volunteers, the people themselves are involved and they did it. And those are the things that we normally do. And helping them identify their problem themselves so that they know how to do it, solve the problem together with them, provide the technical assistance, which they also learn from it. And those are the things. So at the end, we'll be able to say we have helped them to help themselves. Because they too now know how to identify their problem, they know how to work on the solution, they know how to implement the solution to their problem. So those are the principles, the 10 principles that guide us, that help us to fulfill our guiding philosophy in agricultural extension. Briefly, let's look at the extension process. We have this in your notes, but let's look at the extension process today and then look at it. When we have said it, like I said earlier, extension is based on addressing the felt need of the people first. That's the priority. What if it is not there will be conspicuous? And that will make them to be interested in, they want to solve their problem. I always say it too, like when students resume, you are looking for accommodation, you don't know where to lay your head, you don't know where you stay. And you meet somebody and he says, oh, please, see me by 4 o'clock. I want to give you 5,000 to give. But somebody says, I've gotten accommodation for you, and there are many people on it. See me by 4 o'clock also, so that we can see it before other people come. You will go to the person who talks about accommodation first. Because you have just come from home, you have money, you still have money on you. You need the money, yes, that is. But that accommodation first, you will rush there, you won't want to miss it. That is your first need. The money, yes, is a need. But at that moment, the accommodation that germinates most in your heart. So you will address it first before you can go, oh, sorry, I couldn't make it, I'm late about 30 minutes, I'm late about 1 hour, please, I'm sorry. You need it, it's an unfair, but the first thing first. And that is what we are trying to cover. And so that is why, in the extension process, we now try to see how we can plan our strategy to be able to fulfill, to help the people, to help themselves, and to achieve the attainment of extension, which is to disseminate information on new technology, or innovation, or new idea, to improve the people, help them enhance their production level, to better their status, better their income level, their profit making, and ultimately to have effect on them, that is the outcome of it, and on the long run, we have impact on the standard of living. That is it. But we have a process and we go about it. And that is why we have the process we work through. It involves, the first thing is the community, the people who are involved. And we have to do the baseline to understand, to identify what are their felt needs. And that's the first thing. It is when we understand their felt needs that we'll be able to see, yes, this is what their felt need is. This is what they need most. Like I told you, oh, it's accommodation for them, you know that. Oh, this community, what they need in this community immediately now is that almost all their maize is almost gone. They need something. All the tomato they planted is dying. Problem of tomato rot, problem of tomato spot, smut, they have issues. That is what their main mode. Not that you are coming to them now, you want to teach how to process cassava. That's not, it is not the time. So that is why the first thing we normally do is we do the baseline. The baseline is identify their needs, broken later to felt and unfelt needs. Then when we now identify what the need is of the group of people, their processors, their marketers, but if you are dealing with farmers, animal farmers, fish farmers, whatever category they may be, we are dealing with the foresters, people in the forest, they are just cutting, and these people will not let us have sustainable forest, they are contributing to the issue of climate issue that we have on ground. We identify what are the issues. Then, after that, the next stage we are going into is the program to do. Then, okay, what can we come up with? How can we solve this problem? What are the identified problems? Which ones are of topmost priority? And then, what can we do? Like I said, we do it along with them. Not that we sit down in our corridors, in our offices, or in our laboratories, or in the university, no. Or in the research institute, no. We do it with them. All of us are working together because it is the person that has the pain that understands where she should pinches. And then when we do this together, when we identify the problem together, we now look at solution. That's why we work with trained specialists. The experts and this will also come, from my knowledge, this is what to do, this is what to do. This is how we are going to go about it. When we have come up with that one, the solution, and then how we are going to go about it, then we will plan. That leads us to the third stage, which is the first stage, like I said, is community baseline survey. Survey it, identify their problems, break it to felt and unfelt need, prioritize even the felt need. Then the next thing is to sit down to see what are the potential solutions, how do we go about it. That's where we use, like we said earlier, in terms of support system, the specialists are also there to help us. So they come, we do that. Then the third stage is we now plan. Okay, how do we plan the work? In planning the work, we have the principle, who is to do what? What are we to do? We have the 4W and H. Who, what, when, where, and how. Who is to do what? How do you do it? What are we going to do? Then, how are we going to do it? So when we know who is to do what is expected to be done, where will it be done? When we have done all this, that is when we have the plan. That is plan of work. When we have done our plan of work, we have identified what we want to do, where we want to do it, who is to do what, and how we are going to do it. That is the plan. We now move on to the next stage, which is the calendar of work that we always talk about. That is calendar of work. Calendar of work is now having timelines. Okay, we know what to do, where to do it, how to do it. When are we going to do it? How long will it take? That is when we are talking about the calendar of work, the timelines. That is the next stage after we have planned. We attach timelines. When to do it. We look at situation of things. Okay, this period, this is the time, this is the farmer's calendar, and this is what they normally do at this period. This is the time of the day that they do this. This is the hour of the day that they do this. This is the period of the year that they do this to enable us to attach time to our plan of work. After that, we now go into implementation. We have already come up with the plan of work. We have already come up with the time. So we now implement what we have planned and that we have attached time to. And that is implementation. But let me say, the implementation and everything involves both the extension, the expert, and the beneficiary or beneficiaries. If it's the farmer, it involves the farmers. If it's the processor, it involves the processors. So that all of us, we are working together, because it's to help our philosophy, to help the clientele to help themselves. Then when we are finished implementation, and during implementation, we also do monitoring, so that we can see we are not deviating from the plan that we have set for ourselves. Monitoring is timely gathering of information to ensure that things are done the way it's supposed to be, so that if there is deviation, we can quickly correct. We also do that during the implementation. So it's not that we have failed. Oh, you have finished. No, you didn't follow the plan. No. During implementation, we have monitoring. And then, after we have done with the implementation stage and we have seen it, we now do evaluation. What is the effect of what we have implemented? Has it helped the farmers to increase their harvest this year? Has it helped to reduce the loss of their product this year? Has it helped to increase their income or their profit this year? We look at all those ones. That is evaluation. We look at the effect. That is the outcome. What is the effect of what we have implemented? Then, after doing that, we now look at it. Okay, if we want to go further next season, or we want to expand this program, do we follow the same process that we have done that is successful? Or if you have failed one way or the other, we have to abandon, or this is where we fail, we have to correct this. That is review. So in the extension process, we start from the baseline. We visit the community, we identify their needs, we know the category of people, their social status, the age bracket, we understand their level of exposure, social status, their economic status, their poverty status, their income level. We gather information on all those ones. Then we identify their needs. We break it to the first need, the unfelt need. We prioritize it. Then we develop what will be the solution to the problems that have been identified. And what do we do? And then develop a program. Then we move to plan of work. We plan. This is what to do and where we are going to do it. This is how to go about it. We come up with that one. That's the plan of work. Then we now say, okay, what is our calendar? We attach timelines. This is when to do this. This is how long it will take to do this. Then when we finish that one, we have planned, we have attached timeline. Then we go into implementation. We now implement what we have planned. But along the line, we monitor to see that there's no deviation from the plan. Then when we have finished implementation and we are getting results, we do the evaluation to find out the outcome, the effect that it has. Then if it has been effect and want to go further, we review. Do we do the same process or we improve on it? If you have failed one way or the other, we do correction and we do all. We have wasted enough. We are not doing this again. We are doing another thing. That is what we do in extension process. And but in order for us to have effective extension services, like we have said, there are some things that is needed to be done. That's the condition conducive. That's another subtopic to round off this class today. Condition conducive to development of effective extension services. Number one, there must be national policy that will support extension services activities. There must be, the country must have a direction. Where are we going? What do we want to do? This is our policy. This is our strategy to get it. That will guide the extension activities in the country. Secondly, we must have a strong philosophy. There must be strong philosophy in order to drive us. And that will help us to be able to see. When we are talking about helping people working with trade specialists, that will help us to know the concept of human resources that is required. It is important for us that to get that. And then thirdly, there must be sources for technical information. We need from the expert, from the research institute, from the universities. There must be sources because we are talking of disseminating information on new idea, on innovation, on improved technology. There must be sources for this. And also there must be effective sources of trained people and continually train people. Extension involves training and retraining. Things changes, new things come up every day. So we must be able, there must be means of training and retraining. And then there must be effective auxiliary services, support services. in terms of input. Oh, you tell people about a new technology and they don't have access to the input to back up the new technology. Transportation. That's one of the problems we have in Nigeria today. People will transport tomato from the north, in those days people are going tomato in the south and that. But before the rate of it perishes a lot. But thank God, I know some courier services are going to college now, and they want to go into agricultural college where they have cold room stored to the attached to the vans that can store tomato, attach the vegetable good and vegetable and all those ones. So we need auxiliary services to make extension to work. And also the atmosphere must be conducive. And finally, extension must abide and stay with the educational rule. So if we have this, it will help us to go a long way. Thank you very much. So that is where we are going to end the class today. The next class will be talking about evolution of extension, and also talking about history of extension in Nigeria. That is very good. We have this. Thank you very much. I will inform us the assignment, we are going to do the assignment, and when we are going to do the test. Please make sure, as you listen to these recordings and the video, take your note along the line and look at it. Thank you very much. God bless you. Good afternoon.